Hello, bright and shiny beacons of light. Wow, I am, am I bright and shiny with the sun coming here this afternoon in Basalt, Colorado. I've got hummingbirds outside. I've got Jessica Lee, also known as the Pookster or the Pookstar, sitting next to me. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Thank you for your patience. I'll get the sound off here. There we go.
You want to close?
That's what's going on. All right, excellent. We did that 2 days in a row. Testing.
You probably have another window open.
So I can't say, hold on, everybody. We are getting some fantastic echoing going on.
Oh my gosh.
I can't help you with this because I quit everything.
Hello.
Yeah, it's even muted and coming through.
Excuse me.
All right. So we have. Okay, that's much better. So we want to talk about speaking with our intuition. And our intuition is screaming loud and clear to us tonight, saying we get to do some minor fine tuning on things. We listen to our, how do I put this? We all are getting signs and symbols from the universe. Some of them quite quiet. Some of them are speaking very loudly. An interesting thing, we picked up the pace on our YouTube lives and our video production at this COVID-19 time, of which we've been backing off. But we were in quite a go mode, wanting to help people as much as possible. And recently, what's been happening is an unprecedented amount of broken glass. So about an hour before we were supposed to hold this YouTube Live tonight, I was actually putting things away in the kitchen, trying to make space. We do our YouTube Live in our beautiful kitchen living area here, and we were making space for the YouTube Live, and I knocked over a glass bottle, which actually magically bounced for the first time and then exploded all over the living room. And so I did some glass cleanup. Then I went into a coaching session. Jessica did some glass cleanup, and we have been in glass cleanup mode for the better part of the last hour, trying to make sure that the kitty cats didn't get any glass in the paws. Now, this is a time of recreating and reinventing our lives. And it is not a time to be done from the head, but done from the heart. Because what we're finding, and this will tie back into the glass in a minute here, we're finding is that we as a species, as a society, and as individuals have been out of alignment with our environment. And things have been breaking. Specifically, environment has been breaking. Relationships have been breaking. Most recently, of course, economy and health systems have been breaking, and glass has been breaking as well. When glass breaks, we get a little bit nervous. Why? Because the universe is saying you are out of coherence or out of vibration. What's coherence? Coherence means being in alignment with your inner wisdom and your outer circumstances. As teachers, both Jessica and I like to live in a state of high coherence so that we're practicing what we preach. When things start breaking, it means we're a bit out of alignment. And I am the first to admit that. Too much go. Get to throttle back into do. We've been working on this, being in alignment for many years, but it is still a work in process. I believe maybe it always is because life is always changing. The most important thing to do, besides cleaning up the glass, is to stop and ask yourself, am I listening to that inner wisdom? When we listen to our inner wisdom, not only do things break less, but we start to get into more of a state of flow. I'm convinced one of the key reasons this pandemic is happening is because humanity has blocked or lost her connection to source, her connection to her inner wisdom. Who's the her? All of us. Humanity as a being. And we think, well, I'm an individual. I'm another individual. Let's admit it. We are all cells in the organism of humanity. And if we want to take back the aperture even more, go, for instance, Carl Sagan's blue dot taken by, I think it was Voyager on the edge of the solar system a couple decades ago. And it looked back as it was leaving the solar system. It passed Pluto. And what it saw is the Earth was a tiny blue dot. We are all cells in the entity of the organism, not just of humanity, but of planet Earth. When we're vibrating out of coherence, yes, things break. I've broken that analogy as much as we need to go, or that metaphor. But there is a breakdown of everything, of all processes, because things become unsustainable. That's why Mother Earth hit the red button on the conveyor belt or on the assembly line saying, full stop. We need to get back into coherence. The cool thing about this full stop, though, is it actually gives us an opportunity to dive in on the inside and listen. What I'm hearing consistently from my clients, and the reason I've radically backed off, usually I don't watch the news at all. I have during this COVID-19 time, but I've actually really radically backed off. I have no idea what's been going on the last couple of days. I'll check in at some point, and big stories always chase me down. We have too many tentacles out in the world that any big story will find us probably within minutes, if not less. But I have been backing off so that I can dive inward more. And if we can extract ourselves from this thinking mind that is saying, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do the other. Because at the end of the day, here's what my clients are saying. Here's what my inner wisdom is saying. There's so much uncertainty. I have no clue how to rationalize it. Perfect. That's the first step toward healing. When you can admit that we are living in an insane world, an insane time that cannot be fixed with the thinking mind, you're on one giant step, or taking one giant step forward toward perfect health. Mental health, because we let go of suffering when we let go of the attachment to the outcome. And we start to dive in on the inside. That's what I want to talk with us about tonight, is some key ways that we can dive in. It's interesting, though. I've been watching myself, and I find I have a lot more attachment to the outer world than I ever realized. Specifically, I'm very attached to you. I'm very attached to anybody who's struggling. I'm very attached to not wanting to see suffering during this time. And that has bothered me on a very, very deep soul level. And I can't reconcile it with the mind. I'm a numbers guy. I've got an MBA degree. I've got a second degree in computers. I've got a minor in exercise physiology from years ago, and throw a constitutional law, political science degree in there as well, which means that my rational mind can go absolutely crazy during this time if I let it. And particularly when I see the numbers, because I say numbers don't lie, my heart goes out to everybody who's struggling and suffering. But the only answer, if I can't help everybody, and that's why we've been on this, I don't know about mad pace, this crazy, beautiful pace to try to help others. At the end of the day, we all get to dive inwards, though. I have to let go of whatever my mind is trying to tell me and dive deep. How do we do that? Well, I'm going to share some of the key ways that I am tapping into my intuition. First off, I'm getting to know the couch. Yes, I may be the first self-help teacher. I don't know what you want to call me. I'm not so good with labels. I may be the first person on YouTube who has told you, I want you to get to know your couch right now. But I'm not talking about TV blaring, news going, movies playing, or phone buried in the phone. I'm talking about good old butt time, or butt time, feet time, shoulders time, head time. Laying down on that couch, going nowhere, doing nothing. Of which I have spent a record amount of time since last year, over the last 3 or 4 days, getting reaccustomed to my couch. Why? What does that have to do with intuition? Because if you're sitting there allowing yourself to get bored, and I put that in quotes because it's a very scary word. I don't like using it because if you tell the universe you're bored, the universe goes, oh, your wish is my command, and you will have some fire to work with. But if you will take the time to be on the couch doing nothing, you allow your intuition the opportunity to speak with you. It's kind of a misnomer what we call this cultivating intuition today. Why is it a misnomer? Because intuition is always speaking to us. It's that small, still voice, like a whisper, that's always there and would never steer us wrong if only we would listen. The trick is we have so much stimulus coming in from every direction that we can't possibly hear it. But if you take time, for instance, on the couch with no additional stimulation, you allow your intuition to start to speak loud and clear. And it is a relationship you're developing. Intuition speaks quietly. You start to listen. It speaks a little bit louder. Start to listen. It speaks, or not louder. It gets clearer and clearer and clearer, particularly what's intuition and what's my ego. So first, we get to know the couch. Second, we get to know our lunch. Particularly, or it would be great if we could do this every meal of the day. But if you can take one meal in silence, on the couch, at your chair, on your deck, your veranda, or as I like to do in New Jersey when we first started the show, I would take my lunch outside any time of the year and sit on the front stoop and eat. People probably thought I looked a little bit strange. But if I had no distractions around me and can be perfectly present with my lunch, first off, the food tasted better. Secondly, I could hear if I was truly hungry or not. Crazy, but it's very difficult to tell if you're hungry or not when you have a lot of stimulus around. Hunger, understanding your body, comes from intuition. What is intuition? It's all of your senses listening on a deeper soul level. Am I hungry? And when you use that as an opportunity, if you say once a day, lunchtime, I am going to hit full stop and I am going to be with my meal, then universe, soul, guidance, intuition, whatever you want to call it, angels, says, all right, I know lunchtime. I get to be with John. I get to be with Amy. I get to be with Jessica. I get to be with Michael. And your intuition makes a date with you. And it can actually start to be really fun because you start to hear that voice more clearly. Intuition is dating. It's dating with your higher self. And at first, dating is just saying, hi, I'm Bob, I'm Joe, I'm Susie. Then tell me a little bit about you. Then it starts to get deeper and deeper. And as that trust and as that understanding and as that communication grows, you are cultivating a very, very deep relationship. What we're doing here, and we can use so many different practices. I'll tell you about automatic writing. That's my favorite. Although, like I said, now I'm enjoying the couch. When it comes to intuition, we need to give space to be able to hear it. And space is not just physical space, cleaning of a counter, cleaning of a couch, making a room in your house more of a shrine or a temple that is breathing room, which is awesome. But it is also, space is also quieting the mind. That can certainly be meditation. It can be turning down the music. It can be turning down the TV. It can be dialing down everything. And as you hear me say, everything, it means breathing deeper, breathing slower, calming the nervous system, and allowing your intuition in. Then it simply takes discerning it. Is this coming from my higher self, or is this coming from my ego? And that's why it's called a practice, because it becomes much, much clearer over time. Now, going back to automatic writing, and I'm very biased, and I want to admit my bias, and I want to admit that I want to sell you into our class on Thursday because I think it is the greatest thing in the world. Automatic writing. Every morning I get up, woohoo! I do a little woohoo in my head. I don't want to wake up Jessica. I give some gratitude. I come downstairs. I probably have a dream that I just occurred the night before, and I want to write down my dream. I take some hot water. I do a little meditation. And then I go into prayer. I go in, I put on some theta brain entrainment music. I write out several prayers. And then I ask the universe, what do I need to know today? And the universe speaks back to me. What has it been telling me? Well, the same things that the glass bottle told me today. Slow down, relax, you've got this, everything is good. And here are some very specific things that I want you to take action on today from a place of love. It's kind of like a Ouija board, but not. Ouija board, who knows whom or what you're speaking to. Here, you're either speaking to your highest level wisdom, or you're speaking truly to angels or guides. I put pen and paper. I'm enveloped in a state of love and light. And literally, the words start to flow without thought. I call it cultivating your intuition because it is a practice. And over time, I hear these words more and more, louder and louder still, until I'm hearing them, if I choose to listen, almost throughout the entire day. Certainly when I'm doing this, certainly when I'm coaching, and absolutely when I'm doing an interview. In fact, I've gotten better at it, but it used to be during an interview or a coaching session, be a little bit awkward. In fact, I think I did it during a couple coaching sessions today. My head goes down, I go quiet. And then the idea comes to me and my eyes pop open and the words start to flow. That's all come out of my automatic writing. In fact, we're supposed to have an automatic writing book out this September. We had trouble with an editor and it's been pushed back to the beginning of the year. And my ego wanted to go crazy on me on this, but I've gone too far. I've come too far. I know too much. I know that there's a bigger plan at work. I know that everybody is getting delayed by everything right now, and that truly we are not in control, and it is here for my highest good and the highest good of all. And so I go into my automatic writing about my automatic writing book, which is delayed, and I'm told, well, that's so it can come out better. There's a lot of new stuff that you get to include COVID-19 time that you hadn't included yet. And so don't worry. Yes, you get to rewrite, but this is a blessing, not just a blessing in disguise. You will actually have fun with it this time. And so my automatic writing tells me exactly where I'm going, what I'm doing, and why this will all work out. And so I want to encourage you To cultivate a practice like an automatic writing or a morning pages. Journaling, less so, but better than nothing. Journaling is a first-person operation. I, me, my, I. And I really want to get you out of your I is not into where intuition comes from. Unless we call it the meta I, the big picture I, the I of one, meaning all of us. That's where you want to write from. If you stay in the thinking mind, I've had to do this, I have to do that, I get to do this, why didn't I? If only I woulda, shoulda, coulda. That is, at best, your mind speaking, and quite frequently, your ego speaking. Let me address ego for a minute. Because when we're cultivating intuition, it's very easy for ego to come up and try to commandeer you. Intuition is a loving, kind, gentle hug of a voice. It is a voice that's telling you everything's okay. It's a voice that's telling you, yeah, don't go down the dark alley, but I will take care of you. It's a voice of nurturing, loving, kind, non-judgmental guidance. Ego, on the other hand, is shoulda, woulda, coulda, why didn't you do X, Y, Z, and getting shoulded all over. That's okay too. I'm not a battle guy, even though we teach many, many boot camps, beautiful boot camps. Come join us for our next boot camp. We teach open-hearted warrior practices, how to drop our shields and lean forward into life from a place of love. But we're not the battle, duke it out warrior kind of people. So when it comes to ego, we don't try to fight ego. We don't try to destroy ego. We don't try to annihilate, remove, suppress, repress, kick out, or anything ego. We love up our ego. We bring in our ego. We invite ego for a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. If you drank beer, invite him in for a beer, or her in. Make love, in a sense, with your ego. Make them your best friend. So what does that mean? When ego comes up, if you're not ready for ego, tell ego to wait a little while. But if you are ready, grab a fresh sheet of paper, grab a composition notebook, and say, all right, ego, I've got 5 minutes, I've got 10 minutes. I want you to tell me everything that is on your mind. And let her share with you. Because if she feels heard, she's not going to drive all over you. Write it down. Get all of it down. Then, yes, shred it to get you lighter. Don't worry. If there's important things, she'll say them to you again and again and again. But if you shred it, subconscious doesn't know the difference between the written word and the actual emotion or event. You start to feel much lighter. But she knows that she's heard. She knows that she's listened to. She knows that you will respect her opinion, even if you chose to go another way. Why is this important? Because if you squash down your ego, how in the world are you going to be able to hear your intuition? Because she's going to be yelling at you so loudly. Listen to her, him, whomever. Give them the time of day. Next, before you go to sleep at night, I have been making sleep. I've been having so much fun with this. I must admit, full disclosure, I'm a crank monster before bed because I like to sleep around 8:30 because I like to get up around 4:30. And right now, with work, sometimes I'm getting to bed at 10:30. It'd be easy for me to be in a cranky state at this time. So what do? I try to breathe into it. Why cranky? Because it is tripwiring a threat mechanism in me that says, red alert, if you don't get to bed now, you're going to be a mess in the morning. Is it true? No, actually, it's not true. I'm going to be in a mess in the morning if I don't treat bedtime as sacred. So what do? I try to love myself up. I try to breathe into it. When I go to bed, I am doing a practice, either a practice of breathing in love, sending out light, in love, sending out light, or in light, sending out love. The number of times that I am sending out love to Jessica, even though I don't really want to have a conversation with going to bed, but the amount of loving I'm sending her at night to put myself in that state is huge. Another thing that you can do in this state, in this sacred time before going to bed, is you can call on your intuition, you can call on the angels, and you can say, please help me hear my intuition more clearly through my sleep. It is an awesome time for your intuition to get in touch with you. What was my dream last night? I was talking to angels who told me it was going to be all right. And then the car flipped head over heels, over head over heels, over head over heels in the dream. And I was okay. The love bug was in the back seat. She was a little bit stunned, but Jessica was with me and we were both okay. What was the message? Well, there's still a little tumbling going on, but don't worry. Even through that, you will be fine. And what I hear from my intuition right now is, let's see how we can dial back so that there's even less tumbling. Put your questions out there to the universe before you sleep, either saying, I need guidance, or your specific questions. I don't know what to do about this job situation. I don't know what to do about our finances right now. I don't know what to do about what is safe and what is not. I can't figure it out. Put it out there to the universe before you sleep. Then when you wake, put it out there to the natural world. One of the first guests we had on, don't recall his name at the moment, it might come to me in a few minutes, a shaman who talked about, there was a specific term for it. You put yourself out there to the questions out there to the universe, and then you listen for the first 3 voices or sounds that come your way. It could be a bird. It could be somebody on the street going, I don't have the time. It could be somebody or something, whatever. Take in those first 3 pieces of information and see what they tell you. The answers are always out there in the natural world. Chances are closer than you think. When we were deciding whether to move here or not, I was on I think it was a bike ride. It was either a bike ride or a skate. I think it was a bike ride. That might have been a skate. Wow. We were living on the Outer Banks in North Carolina. And I just spoken with Jessica on the phone. It was for this beautiful, beautiful home that we now live in. And I wasn't sure if it was too far into the hills, if it was the right place to be in, if we'd had sufficient internet. And on went the head. And I went for this ride or skate. And I said wind, and I love talking to the wind, because if you want intuition to hit you inside of the face, when we go hiking, if we get this gust of wind, chances are we will turn around on a heartbeat. And if not, we will look for gust number 2, and then we will turn right around. I love asking wind for guidance. And so I said, dear wind, please give us guidance on whether we're supposed to have this home or not. And the next thing you know, I have to stop on this bike path because there is a giant horse trailer in front of me. And I can't get past it, and I have to turn around. You go, well, what's so unusual about a horse trailer? We're basically on a horse-free island. We had never seen a horse, let alone a horse trailer, on the whole island and the entire time we lived there. And yet Jessica had just told me that the property is surrounded by horses. And so I said, thank you, we'll take it. That was listening to our intuition. A few last thoughts, and we're going to open it up to questions. Open up a dialogue, a conversation, a correspondence between you and your guides. During COVID-19, nobody's going to think it's weird if you talk to yourself. And I'm going to encourage you to talk to yourself as much as you possibly can. Angels, guides, what do you have to share with me? What do I need to know today? What do I need to know right now? Why is this happening? Do I do A or do I do B? Pause, listen, have a discussion. And I'm not talking just in your head, although that's something that Jessica and I have both been working on, which is doing our automatic writing in our heads. But you can literally have this discussion out loud. The more that you cultivate the relationship with your guides, the better. A couple last things. Spend quiet time in the wee hours, not doing anything. Maybe automatic writing, barring that, nothing. This could be late at night, shut everything down before you go to sleep. Look up at the stars. In fact, I'm told after midnight, and I can't figure out what time zone that means, but at least in the US, after midnight, most of us will get a meteor shower tonight from the remnants or the trailings of Halley's Comet, which comes around once every 75 years. But they say it's the best meteor shower for the next 2 months is tonight after midnight. Check it out. I hope we do. But look at the stars. Be present with yourself. Or get up early. There's a reason I like to be up at the 4 o'clock hour. The whole world is silent. And in that silence, I can hear my intuition. Last, kick yourself out to nature without headphones, without an agenda. Now, there are a very few places in the US, and certainly there are places elsewhere in the world, where you cannot get out to nature right now. But for almost every one of us, there is some green space around. We live just outside of New York City. It was dumbfounding how many state parks were available to us that were close by for us to hike, for us to commune with nature, for us to, oh my God, you want to plug into your intuition? Hug a tree. Go on alltrails.com. Go on whatever it is that lets you find the green spaces or the trails around you. And as the weather warms up in the northern hemisphere, kick yourself out without being in a hurry, without needing to get back fast, without needing to get or be anywhere other than to be where you're at on that trail or in that green space. There, without headphones, without an agenda, will your intuition come calling for you? So with that said, I want to open it up to questions. I'm going to check in with Jessica and see if she has anything to share. I also want to share more about our automatic writing course, which is heavily discounted. We will be having our live class. It's only the second live class like of this kind ever. It's going to be teaching you all things to get you started in automatic writing. And it's also, we've got a video series with it that you get by taking the class, which is 8 different modules to walk you through everything. But you can literally be channeling, be hearing from your intuition almost on day number 1. And over time, you get the most incredible words of wisdom. For myself, I was a meditation teacher for years. I held, hopefully, big space. And yet I was lost. Why? Because in the bliss of meditation, in the oneness, in the wonder, and I mean, meditation is awesome. I'm not picking on it. I do it every day. But it wasn't telling me how to chop wood and carry water. In other words, where do I go from here? What do I do? How do I make money? How do I keep the roof over my head? What's going on with Jessica? Why is she sick? I didn't know any of what was going on. The world was collapsing around us, and yet I was holding beautiful space at a meditation center. It all changed. First off, we got our butts kicked, but then it all changed once I sat down with my automatic writing, put pen to paper and said, universe, what's going on here? What happened? What do I need to learn? Where do I go from here? Start a show, Michael. Take the name that Jessica suggested, Inspire Nation Show. I know it sounds big. You'll grow into it. And on it went. So come join us Thursday for that. It's automaticwriting.com. I might be talking about it more in a little bit. I'm going to check in with Jessica here and see if she has any questions. I'm going to see if I can angle the camera here so that you can see her. I have been blinded by the sunlight, and so I'm not even sure if I can see my screen right now. It's so dark over here. I'm not even going to be able to tell perhaps if I've got you on camera. I think I do. I'm literally staring at the sun.
Oh, look, there's Love Bug.
I can't see anything.
Okay, anyway.
But I'm glowing bright. Where's my grounding stone?
It's right in front of you. You couldn't see it. Okay.
We've learned the stone helps. It's a story for another day.
Our first question is from Alessandra. Why do I have such a hard time turning down my nervous system?
So, Alessandra, there are two challenges. There's an inner and outer challenge with the nervous system.
Move this way.
I can move this way?
Move the whole...
Wow, that's a different
the whole
world.
bench.
All right. Anyway.
Just hang out back there.
How's that? All right, Alessandra. We have an inner... This computer doesn't want to turn towards you anymore.
Because it's attached to the mic.
So we have an inner and outer challenge going on. The inner challenge is that there are woundings, there are blocks, and I'm not sure why you're pushing me. Why you're pushing me?
There. Stay there. Stay, boo-boo. Stay.
Woof. There are inner and outer challenges going on. On the inner wound, on the inner world, we have wounds, we have blocks, we have triggers. Those get to be addressed. It's very hard to speak while you're holding my shoulder,
Really?
although I love you very, very much.
I thought I was grounding you.
I'm appreciative, but I need to go boom. So thank you. With the sound effects, boom, for Alessandra. We look at the wounds, we look at the blocks, we do things like EFT tapping. We do things that are clearing, shamanic clearing, emotion code clearing, the clearing that you may have heard from our classes. And we start to feel in our body where that nervousness is coming from. And instead of pushing it down, Alessandra, we actually breathe into it. We expand it. We allow that nervousness, this is going to sound nuts, to fill your whole body so that we can learn from it, or so that it can literally pop like an overfilled balloon and diffuse. The anxiety you're feeling is energy, neither good nor bad. The trick is we get to learn from this energy and learn how to cultivate, harness, and work with this energy. So we start to play with the energy on the inside. And if I had to pick one place to start, I would probably start with the Eft Tapping. We've had many, many classes on that. We'll have much more on that as well. And we have lots of YouTube videos on it. And I'm sure you've seen one or two. So I would start with that. On the outer world, we are swimming in a soup of fear, of worry, of anxiety, or actually, what I'm getting right now, at least in Colorado, and I'm trying to have a pulse on the whole planet because I have clients literally on almost every corner of the planet right now. Nobody in Antarctica. Is a fear of uncertainty. Everything is so up in the air. We feel stressed, worried, anxious, confused, and flipped upside down because we have no idea what's coming next. And so we get to mitigate this. Part of it is by stepping back. Part of it is by breathing into it. And part of it is simply by recognizing it. But I think the most important piece is to choose carefully how much of this energy you wish to ingest. We all ingest a certain amount of it just by being right now. I can wake up in the morning. So this week they're talking about open in Colorado, free in Colorado, this and that Colorado. And there's actually, in a sense, a lightness to the air because things are opening up. Now, without getting into the numbers and the health ramifications, I understand it won't be this way the whole time. Things will go yin and yang, open and closed and open and closed. But what I get to do is first recognize the energy of the world around me when I wake. I like to write about that energy. And then I say, do I want to check the news? And if so, what am I going to do to counterbalance it? Because if we strip away the dopamine rush of the news right now, oh my God, look at this. Oh my God, look at that. And let's face it, we are wired to look for train wrecks. Why? Because it makes us feel good when we see what the danger is. The trick is you can find the danger, but you can't find the danger right now. Meaning everything seems dangerous. And it completely flips us again into that uncertainty place. So Alessandra, if you dive in, come out and do something that balances it. If you dive in, go check for something positive as well. But plug yourself back into a state of positive beingness out of that world of negativity. It could be, as Jessica was doing recently, hasn't in the last couple of weeks, body knitting or painting or dancing or writing or singing or potting plants or walking barefoot on the earth or running or anything where you lose track of time. But make sure you plug back into that energy of the universe, so that, which is typically a creative vein, rather than just the energy of fear, worry, and anxiety that's all around us. So beautiful, beautiful question. A last note, Alessandra, love up your fear and anxiety. Don't try to push it away. Don't try to get rid of it. Listen to it, ask it questions, take it for a car ride, test drive with her, but love her up. The more you love up your fear and anxiety, the less bite she has over you. Beautiful, beautiful question.
Thanks. Okay, our next question is from
Yes.
Jimmy Mark.
Hi, Jimmy.
Sometimes hard to know if it's ego or intuition.
Mm-hmm. So the question, and Jimmy is asking, is
how do you tell if it's ego or your intuition?
Intuition tends to be a kind, loving, and gentle voice, Jimmy. It doesn't mean that it might not say, don't do that, because that can be very kind, loving, and gentle. Don't go down the dark alley. Could be very kind and gentle and loving, but it's not going to be, you idiot. Don't go down the dark alley, you idiot. That's not your intuition. If it's shaming you, if it's blaming you, if it's punishing you, if it's pointing out your flaws or faults, chances are very clearly that's not your intuition. If it's loving you, if it's being kind, if it's saying, it's okay, Michael, that you broke that bottle, and my little wounded inner child wants to just go, oh no, it's okay. That's your intuition. It is certainly a practice. In fact, I'm known when I do my automatic writing to even ask, are you sure this is my intuition and not my ego? I will ask and do a check. I'm a big muscle testing guy. I will muscle test to see if it's coming from ego, and I will muscle test to see if the muscle testing was coming from ego. In other words, it's a practice. However, start, Jimmy, by asking, is this an answer that love would give me or an answer that fear would give me? Brilliant, brilliant question.
Thanks. Our next question is from Denise.
You're pretty tonight. Well, you're always pretty, but you look really beautiful.
You seem to say that when I put earrings in. I should get more earrings.
Busted. I should be buying you more earrings.
You could do that too. He used to work in the fashion industry.
I did. And I take very good care of you as far as your accoutrements. Not necessarily. I do better now.
Not necessarily.
For myself. I'm just not a very proficient I have very limited proclivity towards shopping for myself.
We could psychoanalyze you right now, but we won't. Okay.
Thank you. I am wearing Sharks. You bought this for me.
We did.
This is one of your favorites.
I know. And you didn't like it for a while because you thought people won't trust me if I'm wearing sharks on my...
Well, I did wonder what the shark energy is. As a shaman, I'm looking at what is the symbolism behind all of this, and I'm like, sharks, but...
I think it has to do with adaptability.
It does. A shark has adaptability. A shark has endurance. A shark is a survivor that has been around for almost longer than almost any animal. And like you're saying, will adapt to any situation.
Mm-hmm.
Wise choice. Thank you for this shirt.
You're welcome. Okay. From Denise.
We're cute tonight. Anyway.
From Denise. Part of my struggling in accessing my intuition all the time is this underlying ego belief that I don't deserve for it to be easy, that I need to figure out for myself or it's not valuable. It was, oh, yeah, that's it.
Oh, Denise, you and I have a lot in common. Ego used to tell me I must slay the dragons. And if things are easy, then it's not worth doing. If things are easy, then I'm not trying hard enough. If things are easy, I'm not punishing myself enough on some level. Mm-hmm. You've seen this quite a bit with me.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that ain't flow. And flow is coherence. Flow is a chord. Flow is resonance. Flow is being in the vibration of the universe. Let's choose flow. It is modern society that says if it's not easy, it's not worthwhile. And I'm going to say the reverse. If you feel like you're going downstream, that's awesome. And if you feel like you're trying to swim upstream, danger, danger, danger. So there is some rewiring in order. But there's also some healing that gets to be done with an ego that is terrified of letting go of control. That's what this is coming about. It's saying that if I have to work and hold on for dear life, then I'm holding on to control. And that's what's going to keep us safe. If you let go and go downstream, you could be thrown into the rocks and torn apart. That's so scary. So we have a lot of healing to be done with the ego, to help us to realize we're not going to be tumbling downstream. We are going to be going down the gentlest. Was it the Magic Kingdom in Disney World or someplace where we went jogging in this water parky thing and everybody's on their little duckies or little inner tubes?
Yeah.
It's almost like being in our own It's a Small World ride. That's what going downstream can be. You're in your own air mattress or little inflatable ducky, just enjoying the ride. That's what we get to seek, that gentle flow.
We were jogging upstream in the river ride.
Yeah. Yes, we were. That
interesting
actually
metaphor for that period of our lives.
No. That I'm looking at that going, yep, that's right. We were going the wrong way.
I think this time, I think the next time we head to a water park, which may not be for a while.
I'm going downstream.
Yeah, we're going to get in the inner tube.
We are going to chillax like you have never seen.
Flow.
Absolutely.
Okay. Question from Q.
Yes.
Your favorite question.
All right, Q. And I saw something about the ocean, and I didn't go wave an ocean yet on us.
We water jogged in the ocean too off of Maui.
Oh, we did that for healing. We did that for years.
That was important.
And the sea turtles tended to come to you.
They did?
Yes.
Oh. I should have been more present. Okay. From Q.
Yes.
It was once said that the most powerful gift from the gods to man was the ability to ask quality questions, because when we question anything, it opens the door to opportunity. Michael, in your opinion, what are some of the most powerful ways that we can question beliefs, values, and status quo to allow the universe to speak to us and bring about transformation?
Q, that is a brilliant, brilliant question. The first and most important question that comes to mind is, whose is this? Because so often we aren't just operating on autopilot. We think we're fully awake and aware, but we're operating on someone else's value systems, on someone else's rule sets, or on someone else's domestication of us. Whose is this? To me, is such an important question to ask, followed by a corollary is, how is this here to serve me? So if any situation, we could ask it of the pandemic. We can ask about the fear that's going on. Whose is this? We might find it's our own, might not be. We can then ask, how is it here to serve me? Fear is actually here to serve you? Yes, absolutely. Everything is here to serve you. Everything is for your highest good. What can I learn from this? There is something to be learned and gained from everything. And then the next one I didn't plan on saying, which is, how can I respond from a place of love? We can always choose love. We can always choose fear. Honestly, neither one is wrong. There is no right or wrong. It is all good. It's all God. It is all learning. It is all here to serve us. But one path will feel more downstream, and one will be a lot of work. I like to say that I like to snow globe. In fact, I was looking up snow globes on Amazon. I didn't come up with a good one yet. So I'm going to use my stone as a snow globe. I like to snow globe every situation in life. Why did this happen? So of course, I'm going to be asking about that broken bottle. Why did this happen? How is it here to serve me? What can I learn from this? What is the most loving response I can take based on this breaking? And then I would ask what I call the Columbo question. And Columbo was a detective from the 70s who, at the end of every TV show, the murderer is getting away scot-free. And Columbo will go, just one more thing. Can I borrow that pen there? And the murderer, of course, says, yes, of course. Here, you can borrow this pen. Hands it to Columbo, and he goes, oh, yes, this is a Pilot G207. This proves that you're the murderer. And the case is closed from that one last question. And so I would always ask, I always do it, always at the end of every show, I say, any last words of wisdom? I want to give the guest, no matter what they've said, the opportunity for the just one more thing to pop up. And so I would ask the universe, is there anything I'm missing here? In other words, is there something about this situation that I haven't thought of from my limited perspective, but from more of a global meta perspective that I get to learn or gain or grow from? Is there anything I'm missing? And that gives the universe the ultimate opportunity to dive off in whichever direction she needs to for your highest good. Brilliant, brilliant question, Q. Love you.
Another question from Alessandra.
All right.
More tips on how to get out of the way and let spirit, intuition, and inner wisdom to work through you.
I'm going to give you a super simple one, Alessandra. Listen to some theta brainwave entrainment music when you can. When I need to write and my mind is going crazy, and in our automatic writing program, we have a whole selection of music that I kind of made. It's really, really cool. And I want to get back into. That's one of the pieces of my future stuff is I want time to play with music. Mm-hmm. But get some theta brain entrainment music, put it on, and train to the music. And then either on paper through automatic writing or just conversation with the universe, drop in, get into that entrainment state, and then put your questions out there. In fact, throughout the day, you can create your room, you can create your environment, or just with headphones on or earbuds, you can create a sacred space with music on that is of the highest level. There's a reason when you go to a yoga class, when you go to a meditation studio, it's kind of that yoga meditation-y music, because it helps you get into a sweet and gentle and sacred space. The more you create your external environment and the more you create your auditory environment, like a meditation space, the easier it is to drop in. We vibrate at the energy of our environment around us. The more clutter we have, the more difficult it is to drop in. The more overabundance of stuff, the harder it is to drop in. The more noise around us, the harder it is. Now, these are all limiting beliefs. At the end of the day, a monk who's used to meditating in the Himalayas can probably, in the middle of New York City, just drop in. With that said, let's make it easier for you by changing your environment in any small or large tweaks we can. And sound is usually the easiest one, to make it easier to drop in at any moment.
A question from Allison Muse.
Yes.
Michael, have you ever tapped into the Akashic records?
Yes. That's actually how we started into automatic writing. Is we took a long time ago a class on tapping into the Akashic records. And it was a fascinating class, and we did something akin to automatic writing. And I learned a lot about myself that I wasn't prepared to own. I thought it was ego. I thought it was ego telling me, you'll speak from a mountaintop, you have important things to say, and you're here to teach, and who knows what they said, but what I got from the Akashic Masters, but I didn't believe any of it. And for those of you who aren't familiar, Akashic Records and the Akashic Masters are basically, there is on one level of consciousness, there is a Library of Congress in the Akashic field, this energetic field that informs everything. It's an energetic field that's actually studied now by quantum physicists. Field is real. Information in the field is real. It informs everyone. It informs everything. Every one of your cells, every one of your mitochondria is plugged into the Akashic field so that it knows how to digest food and give you energy. And in this Library of Congress, there are Akashic Masters who can basically pull out this old school, I'm picturing Dewey Decimal System, if anybody still remembers what that is, pull out a Dewey Decimal card, pull it out, and it has your life on it. And everything you're doing, going, being, and who and what you are. I like to think of Larry Brilliant, who we had on the show years ago, who single-handedly led to the end of the smallpox epidemic. And he was told, after having his Akashic records read, that he was going to end the smallpox epidemic. He's like, what? You've got to be nuts. I don't even know if he was a doctor at that point. And yet they were right. And he did. And so it's a very powerful, powerful place to go to and to listen from and to learn from as well. So if you get the opportunity to play at that level, I would absolutely do so. If you get a chance to take a class, I would absolutely do so. Can you use automatic writing to tap into it as well? Absolutely. Is it real? Oh, you betcha. Will they give you all the answers to life? No. The future is not written. There are a limited number of future possibilities. They are all here to serve you and your highest good, because you came in with a soul contract, which you can't really get out of. I've done my best to renegotiate. It has gotten much gentler, but we did come in here with learnings. But the future is not written. But the Akashic records can certainly help guide you toward that flow like water, downstream intuition of a journey.
You're not blinded anymore.
No, the sun is just going away right now at this very second. I'm a sun gazer. What does that mean? And I don't like to label myself, but once or twice a day, I stare at the sun right at sunrise and at sunset. It's a strange, quirky thing that I'm not going to try to recommend to anybody. But for me, it does an incredible job of energizing me, and I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm always, as the sun comes up, I go into a state of prayer and give thanks. And right now, as the sun is going down, I don't really want to drop into prayer because I want to entertain everybody here with questions, but I will say thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for this beautiful day to the sun.
Question from Jennifer.
Yes.
Do your guides have names? If so, did they tell you their names?
No, Jennifer, I wish they did. I get the guides, if it's the guides, or now, okay, let me phrase this a little differently. The guides that speak to me typically don't speak to me by name. However, I can go and reach out to a specific entity if I want. So I have one what do we call it? Animal spirit. There's a word for it that I'm missing right now. Spirit animal. Thank you. One spirit animal that is in communion with me quite frequently by the name of Maximilian. He's a giant mountain lion, and I can speak to him by name. Mother Earth, I speak to her by Mother Earth almost daily. I will quite frequently talk to my mentor, Jack, who was our best man, or my best man at 89 years young. He's since crossed over to the other side. Carla, who is just an amazing angel in our lives, who crossed over last year. She used to actually participate in the live chat. Auntie Pua, a spiritual elder on Maui and in Hawaii, and she crossed over, and I will speak to her. And occasionally to my grandparents as well. And in particular, I love going to the archangels. I go to Archangel Michael, I'll go to Archangel Raphael, I'll go to Archangel Gabriel. And I've had specific conversations with the three of them, not usually pulling out one or the other, though sometimes it is specifically Archangel Michael. And you look like you have something to share or add.
I could.
I'm sorry if I just put you on the spot, which I'm so sorry. I just saw this look here that went.
I was just thinking about who I sometimes write to, and I've written to my grandmother, who is one of my ancestors that is often hanging out with me.
Yeah.
And also our baby spirits when we were pregnant in the past.
And that is one that I did significantly in the past, and have started cranking up again as well, as not so much on a daily basis yet, but that's something that both baby spirit and spirit of I'm being challenged. I have a grandmother that I did not get along with well growing up. Go for it. What were you going to say?
The one that is referred to as the battle axe.
I am so sorry, Grandma. I love you. I love you. I love you. And we butted heads. But now this power ring that I'm wearing right here, that was her husband's. That was my grandpa's. And I'm convinced that she has very powerful words to share with me. And so I sometimes include her, but I have kept my walls and guards up. But I'm convinced when the time is right, and I'm hearing the time is right now, she actually has a lot to teach me, and I have to let my ego step aside.
Interesting.
So that I can hear from her.
What do you think she has to teach you about?
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. She was a very powerful woman. So my assumption is that it would be about stepping into my power, about commanding space, would be my guess. You're smirking, so I'm thinking you're going to...
Well, I was leading the witness.
Well, you did a very good job. That would be my guess. It also requires me to let go a lot of judgment. There are a lot of wounds that are still in there that I get to let go of, because if I really practice what I preach, I don't believe in a bad person. This is crazy, particularly at this time, but I don't believe in a bad person. I do believe in decisions that are more painful than others. I do believe in decisions that can really hurt people. And suffering and stuff, it's real on this level. It's really real. But I believe that we are all one. We are all source. We are all God. Everyone is an angel. Everyone. Crazy. is an angel in disguise. And in fact, some of the people who we consider least evolved or least awake and aware probably are the masters coming here to teach us and to wake us up. In my familiar life, she may be one of those masters. And so I have to let go of that judgment or labels on her and dive in. And it's been uncomfortable. I'll start to write to her, and I think the wounded Michael, little Michael, comes up.
I think it's a really great opportunity to heal some of the programming that she instilled, not necessarily directly into you, but into your mom and her sisters, and then.
Which would mean I get to do some clearing, some definite clearing work to help the whole family, which is true. I'm going to take that as a challenge, that I get to do some clearing on wounds, traumas, blocks, and walls, and clear those, and then maybe I'm ready. But I get to do this quickly. I'm going to report back to people.
Okay, we have a couple more questions.
Okay.
Level up vibrations. I know what happens to me when I close my eyes. I see things for sure, and I'm aware of many things you talk about. But I'm curious to see what you see when you close your eyes.
Yeah, that, and it's level up vibrations. Level up. It's the pyrotechnics don't come to me that often, and I call them pyrotechnics because, on the one hand, they're really, really cool. On the other hand, they can be distractions. Although I'd like more of them. They're really, really cool. Bless you.
Thank you.
So I tend to get, I think both Jessica and I tend to get little flashes of light quite frequently. Little purple orbs have been most recent until just a few weeks back, that I was getting it almost continuously at one point. Going to sleep will certainly have visions or journeys while still awake, though it's not that common. But as a general rule, it's not that exciting unless I want to turn on the spigot and play with it, is the best way I can describe it. But usually if I want to close my eyes, I almost go beyond the eyes. Things come to me, but they come to me in a sense without words, in a sense without vision. I mean, sometimes I'll be working with a coaching client, and maybe I'm doing a clearing work, and I'll go, I see a boot on your chest. Do I actually see a boot on their chest? No. Do I actually feel a boot on their chest? No. Am I right? Well, usually what I hear is, oh my God, well, when I was such and such years of age, a bully and stepped on my, and I'll be, I have no idea where that came from, but I didn't actually see it. So I don't actually have the word to put on it other than that. And I'm looking to see if you have something to say, because
I'm trying not to sneeze.
And that's what that expression, the pained look is. I might sneeze. You don't need to.
So you're not clairvoyant.
No,
is what you're saying.
Not that I'm aware of.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. I haven't cultivated that. I think we are all.
Could be.
Yes, I think it's in every one of us. So I like to say that we may not be Michael Jordan, any of us. Maybe you are. Maybe Michael's watching. If so, awesome. But we can cultivate all of the clairs: clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, on and on it goes. We can cultivate this, but we may not become the best at it, but we can certainly become darn good at it. It takes one thing and one thing only, and that is practice.
There's a fun exercise you can do with the partners. That one person goes to a place and focuses on something in that scene, and the other person is wherever they are, and they try and see what the person outdoors is seeing. And I've had friends do this, and it's worked. One person was standing in front of a big water fountain, and the person back home said they were like, well, I don't know, like, what, is there like a water fountain or something? And
cool.
Yeah.
And years ago, I downloaded. I never actually went through the whole thing. I don't know if I could even find it now. It was a class taught by the CIA on remote viewing. Mm-hmm. And quite literally, the military does this. It's not a conspiracy thing. They train people to be able to close their eyes and go places and see things. It's all an informed field. It's all energy. There is no here. There is no there. You can tap into that. And if you want to, I think it could be really cool, either from a hobby or from a profession, as a way to help people or heal people, or even find people who are like trapped in buildings after an earthquake.
Okay, next
Yes.
question. From Roz.
Yes.
I seem to find myself in the cycle of self-sabotaging. Do you have any ideas on ways to end this loop?
So Roz, it's beautiful that you recognize this. So first, I want to recognize that you recognize the self-sabotage, which is a great way to be able to move past it. You can certainly ask the questions that we were talking about with Q earlier. The questions such as, how is this here to serve me? What can I learn from you, self-sabotage? And what is a loving way to move past this? With that said, Roz, it's trying to keep you to play things small. I don't know why you're afraid of playing things big, but your self-sabotage is keeping you small. I'd say we can go into tapping on it, EFT tapping and work on it. Can certainly go into automatic writing and ask angels, guides, why do I keep shooting myself in the foot? We can do some emotion code or shamanic clearing work or soul retrieval work to bring those pieces back into you that are keeping you from feeling whole, from feeling in alignment. But I would ask my intuition, why does my ego feel so unsafe? Why is it so afraid of me living my true authentic self or true authentic journey? And I would ask my ego directly, why do you feel so hurt? And why do you feel it's necessary for us to play it small? She's pissed off, Roz. She's angry as a mofo. That's not a bad thing. Let's learn from her. Let's befriend her. Let's take her in. And then let's work on that pattern. So I send you all my love.
Time for a group meditation.
I'd love that.
Any announcements beforehand?
Automatic writing. Come join us Thursday. It's profound. It's the #1 tool that we use to tap into intuition. It's the #1 tool we use. I can only speak for myself. Every single day, almost every single day. There was a day a week or two ago we had to run out early. I don't even remember what it was, and I didn't get to it, but I got to it later in the day. But I cannot recommend it enough. If you want to tap into your intuition, if you want to be able to be a channel, to be a medium, to hear from the other side of the veil, to hear from your higher self, to hear from loved ones that have passed on, or most importantly, to hear, where in the world do I go from here? I would dive into automatic writing. Do not stop, do not pass, go. The old Monopoly game would say. And I'd come join us on Thursday. And that's automaticwriting.com. I'll be teaching that live. There'll be a recording of the class. There'll be a whole video series that you'll be able to follow along with. There's a Facebook group so that you can learn and grow together and ask all of your questions as well. I cannot recommend it enough. It is this me that you see, whomever I am, meaning we're spiritual beings having a human existence. We're all doing our best to discover our true authentic self through that journey and to grow our consciousness, to grow our awareness. Everything good that you see about me here, in a sense, came out of automatic writing. Well, okay, truth be told, first it came out of her pitchfork, but not holding it like this, but ding, ding, you will grow. Ding, you will improve. Ding, you will stop doing that. Ding. But on top of that, it all came out of automatic writing. And I would say it's certainly saved the relationship, wouldn't you?
Yes.
So come join us on Thursday. Anything, your brain, I sometimes jam her gears, and I do my best not to, because she cannot be following. Well, she does her best to follow what I'm saying, and she's typing to you at the same time. I have no idea how she does it. That is just such an amazing skill set. But with that said, I will massage her on her shoulder and ask if there's anything she wants to add. But she's on a railroad track with you and may not at all be on the railroad track of what I am saying. And I understand this. And so I could go like, any last words of wisdom? And you'll be like, about what?
I'm just reading a comment from Tammy. She wrote, Boo Boo is not staying. If you joined us late, this is Boo Boo.
I have no idea where to go with that. I have no idea at all. I love you, Pookie.
There was one last question that came in that I didn't notice.
Up to you.
Just one.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
From Pamela. As I can as well find my purpose, I do self-sabotage. A question is how I can go deep in my intuition and ask my guides to decide.
So the question, Pamela, that I have is, are you asking your guides to decide what you get to do? Or are you asking your guides to help you to decide whether you will allow yourself to step forward? That's actually the most important question. Do I want to allow myself to step forward at this time? Lessons are presented in life until we get them. Or, as I like to joke, please forgive me, the beatings will continue until morale improves, which to me actually means we get to choose a different way, and then the sabotage stops. And so what you're saying may be, how can I dive into my intuition enough to choose a different path? And I think it's actually a conscious choice. Intuition will guide us. But if you say, I don't want to self-sabotage myself anymore, to sabotage myself anymore, and I choose a different way, then you will find a different way. But it is guided by the conscious mind. Now, certainly we can say the subconscious is more powerful than the conscious. Absolutely. And the conscious is only the tip of the iceberg. Absolutely. And so if your subconscious is not in congruence or coherence with the conscious mind, then it's going to sabotage you. Absolutely. But you still have the keys to the car. You can get in and you can turn the ignition and say, I'm going to drive to go find the answer right now. It all begins with a choice. I have a feeling there is some sort of boo-boo conversation that just came up here. I just know it.
Travis said, I tune in late to see Pookie and Boo Boo both on screen laughing and sharing their inside names. Actually, I don't call him Boo Boo.
Not on a regular basis, but if I break something like a glass bottle, there's glass in my foot right now. We're gonna have to deal with that afterwards. Yeah, even with the shoes on, there's a cut on one foot, and I'm finding there's glass on the other.
I have a cut on my finger.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Which would be Boo Boo.
He's Hoobie.
Hoobie, also known as the Hoobster.
Because he used to call me wifey.
That stopped years ago, didn't it?
No, that stopped like last month.
What? I don't know when I can't remember the last time I called you wifey or the wifey.
A few weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we can ask the audience. They remember.
No, it's Pookster. I was calling you Pookster and Pookstar and Pookie all the time on here. But you commented to me one day that, nobody actually knows my real name.
Well, somebody in the chat actually thought my real name was Pookie. And I'm like, Michael, this has gotta, I didn't want to end it, but it needed to be tweaked.
And how am I doing on the balance now of this?
Well, I like that you introduced me by my given name.
Yeah.
And then you say also known as.
Okay. Very good.
Because I'm not Pookie Sandler.
No, your Facebook name is official. It is Jessica Lee Sandler.
Yeah, that's the only place where it says that.
Do we need to dive into that or leave that for another time?
Still testing the water out.
We will have been together. We are newlyweds, at least in heart. We will have been together 11 years, married for 10 coming up, but we will have been together 11 years on Sunday.
I guess you're right.
Wow. So just still testing the waters, seeing if it's gonna last, seeing if I want to hang with you.
How much more prodding can you handle?
Wow.
All right. Travis says, just let it happen, let it go.
Let go of that attachment. Oh, thank you, Lynn. Thank you, Travis. All right. So what I'd like you to do, I have no idea where we're going with this. I'm just looking at some beautiful hummingbirds out the window with their schnozzles in the feeder, getting their last drink on at the bar before complete darkness here. What I'd like you to do is simply breathe in through the nose, down to the belly. In fact, let's put a hand on the belly and out through the nose. Breathe in. Feel that belly expand and out. In and out. In and out. As you continue to breathe in and out, I think we're going to take you on a fun little journey. You picture next to you somebody, loved one, an elf, who knows, but they've got a bike pump and they're inflating a nice little ducky for you to go on an inflatable ride down a gentle river. They pump up this little device. A ducky is basically an inner tube with potentially a duck head sticking out of it. Why not for fun? Then you take it and you head over to your little it is a beautiful, pristine river moving at the gentlest, gentle pace. And you put your ducky into the water. You put your toes into the water. It is just the perfect temperature. The air is warm, but not too warm. The water is refreshing, but not too cool. You hear the birds chirping, maybe the occasional fish jumping in the background. Magically, there are no bugs. And it's just before sunset. This golden amber light. It makes all the leaves in the distance have such a richness, such a tone, such a texture. You hop into your ducky. You push off. So gentle, so incredibly peaceful. As you float along, you feel several interesting things. With each breath, you find greater and greater bliss. But you also find a deep wisdom. For you realize that you're not just floating on a river, but you're floating in the intuition of the universe. It's almost as if with each breath, you're getting smarter and smarter still. But that smartness is not coming from the mind. It's coming from your deep, profound connection to that water, to that intuition, to that wisdom and incredible field of energy that informs everyone and everything. You breathe in, you breathe out. You breathe in, you breathe out. As you continue down this river, you realize you can ask the waters any question that you want. For your mind is silent. You feel the water with your hands and your feet. You feel the gentle breeze. You see the glowing leaves. And your mind is at such incredible peace. You can ask the waters where you're going, why you're here, or why anything that is taking place in your life is happening and here to serve you. This river is your birthright. You are always plugged into your intuition, always plugged into infinite information, always plugged into the wisdom of the divine. You simply needed the right time, space, and place in order to be able to hear. And so feel free to rest on this river, to come back to this river, and to be or rest in this river anytime you want. And bring your questions. Can you go to this river before bedtime? Absolutely. When you wake, you betcha. Or in the middle of the day, when that fear comes up, and instead or before you go to take a nap, you say, I'm just going to lay down on that couch, put myself on my ducky, and take a trip down the river. Why not? So I'm going to leave you on your journey for the evening as you rest upon the river, and a question is on your mind or on your heart. Put it out there. Allow the river to respond. Allow the river to speak with you. And allow the river to envelop you, to hold you, to hug you with the most beautiful, loving answer. More kind, compassionate, and supportive than anything you could ever have made up with your conscious or egoic mind. Be with the river. Stay with the river. Love up that river. And most importantly, with your hands, with your feet, with your ears, eyes, nose, and throat, and most importantly, with your heart, listen to what the river has to say to you. For she is your most important and powerful guide. And truly, she can be and is your co-pilot for life. Love you guys so, so much. Hope to see you Thursday. Keep on shining bright. Love you so, so much. Thank you, Pookie, for running everything, aka Jessica. Woohoo! Love you guys.